Diplomat's Archives, Hidden Stories. This is the second story. Our story today begins with a book.
First, could you introduce yourself to our viewers briefly?
Mabuhay! 안녕하세요, 여러분. 저는 필리핀 대사 Teresa de Vega입니다. I'm Teresa de Vega, the Philippine ambassador to the Republic of Korea.
Korea and the Philippines established formal diplomatic relations on March 3, 1949. Last year marked the 75th year of friendship between the two sides. To commemorate the anniversary, the Philippine Embassy in Seoul and the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs has published this book. It's called Dayo, Stories of Migration.
This year, we are distributing a new book published by the Embassy of the Philippines in Korea entitled Dayo, which in Korean, the closest translation means to move or to go somewhere. It is a book about migration stories, stories of Filipinos who have made Korea their second home, and stories of Koreans who are now living and residing and working in the Philippines.
Dayo, Stories of Migration, contains 40 stories. 20 stories are about Filipinos who migrated to Korea and 20 stories about Koreans who migrated to the Philippines.
We wanted to focus on the people-to-people ties between our two countries because for us, this is a manifestation or an example of the enduring partnership and friendship between our two countries. And so we thought it would be a good idea to present these untold stories of migrants from the Philippines and migrants from Korea to the Philippines for the benefit of the public and also for the benefit of future generations of Filipinos and Koreans.
We also met the editor-in-chief of Dayo, Stories of Migration, to hear more about the book in detail.
My name is May Young. I am a writer and an editor, and right now I'm the editor-in-chief of Dayo, the book on migration that's published by the Philippine Embassy.
May, an award-winning writer who received the prestigious Palanca Award for Literature in the Philippines, why did she decide to take on the role of editor-in-chief for this book?
These stories need to be told. I think it's very important to publish a book about the migrants from these two countries because it strengthens the relationship between both countries. Not only that, it also strengthens and it magnifies our appreciation of each other. Also, we suddenly, when we read all of these stories, we realize we have more things in common than we actually know. And because of that, we suddenly realize there's also a bond between two countries that is deeper than what we actually know.
Hidden stories between Korea and the Philippines center around one keyword: migrants. How many Koreans are living in the Philippines, and what brought them there in the first place? And how many Filipinos are living in Korea, and what reasons led them to make Korea their new home? Let's take a moment to hear the stories of a few of the individuals featured in Dayo, Stories of Migration. Let me introduce you to the first guest of our story today.
저는 이름은 박일경이고요. 1984년도에 두산 산업 마닐라 지점장으로 필리핀에 가서 올해 2025년이니까 41년째 필리핀에서 사업하고 살고 있습니다. 전혀 뜻밖의 지난 11월에 연락이 왔어요. 주한필리핀대사관에서. 그래서 주한필리핀대사관에서 한비 75주년 수교 기념으로 책을 만드는데 대사관에서 추천을 받았다고, 뭐 이제 성공한 이민자의 이제 추천을 받았다고 좀 인터뷰하자 그래서 인터뷰 잠깐 했었어요. 근데 그게 책자로 그대로 나왔더라고요. (1985년도에) 필리핀에 아키노 혁명이 일어났었어요. 에드사 혁명이라고도 그러는데, 그래서 그때 모라토리엄도 발표하고 이런 상황에서 두산 산업은 지사 폐쇄를 결정을 했습니다. 그래서 그런 상황 속에서 저는 비즈니스 찬스를 봤어요. 그래서 찬스가 있을 것 같아서 두산 산업을 사표 내고 거기서 사업을 시작하게 되었습니다.
Park Ill-kyoung has been living in the Philippines for 42 years, where he's run a variety of businesses. He also served as the president of the United Korean Community Association in the Philippines in 2009 and 2010. In the 1960s and early 1970s, the number of Koreans living in the Philippines was very low. Then, as Korea's economy began to grow rapidly, migration to the Philippines intensified. As Korean factories began relocating their operation to the Philippines in the 1980s, the number of Koreans staying in the country increased.
필리핀뿐 아니라 동남아 모든 나라들이 한국을 그 당시에 굉장히 부러워하고 존경하는 쪽이었어요. 한국이 뭐 불과 150불의 국민소득에서 9,000불까지 올라가는데, 그때 걸린 시간이 1961년부터 시작해서 20년 만에 그렇게 올라간 거예요. 지금은 물론 35,000불이지만 그 당시에 대부분의 동남아 국가 사람들은 한국을 경의의 눈으로 쳐다보는 그런 시점이었습니다.
The number of Koreans living in the Philippines has continued to increase, reaching its peak in 2009. However, due to factors like the impact of COVID-19, the number began to decrease. As of 2023, approximately 34,000 Koreans reside in the Philippines.
예, 안녕하세요.
On a different day, we met with Il-kyoung again. He says that every time he comes to Korea, he buys pork here and brings it to a place he visits. Where is he going with so much meat? A 5-minute drive from the supermarket took us to this place, where a small building stands amidst a peaceful rural landscape.
고기 왔습니다. 예, 아이고, 오랜만이에요.
This is Ganghwa Green World Training Center, a facility located on Ganghwa-do Island, run by the Korean Rescue Organization, a domestic volunteer group that helps overseas Koreans, including the homeless who wish to return to Korea but are unable to.
전 세계에 특별히 동남아 쪽 또 중남미 쪽에 한인 동포들 중에 이런저런 이유로 사업에 실패하든지 카지노에 빠졌든지 한 이유로 노숙자가 된 동포들이 굉장히 많아요. 어떻게 하다가 제가 그분들하고 눈을 자꾸 마주치게 됐고, 그분들 얘기를 들어주다 보니까 도와주고 싶은 마음이 너무 많이 생겼어요. 그래서 2016년에 필리핀의 동포사랑 쉼터라는 거를 만들게 됐어요. 그래서 동포사랑 쉼터는 오롯이 노숙자들을 보호하기 위한 그런 시스템이었어요. 그래서 노숙자들 이렇게 면담해서 한국에 가실 의지가 있는 분, 이제 모셔서 한 3달 정도 보호하면서 그분들은 대부분 불법 체류자들인데 불법 체류에 대한 벌금을 면제받는 시스템을 만들었어요. 대사관하고 같이 2016년에 시작해서 현재까지 234명이 들어왔습니다.
Homeless individuals who return to Korea after passing through the Manila Korean shelter stay here where they undergo training for a certain period before re-entering society. One of the key figures in establishing the system to assist homeless Koreans in the Philippines is none other than Park Ill-kyoung. There are homeless Koreans in need of assistance all around the world, but there is no other country with a properly established support system like the one in the Philippines.
이제 여기서 상담을 하고 이제 그러면서 행정적인 부분부터 이제 주민등록을 살리고 첫째는 그다음에 의료보험 나이가 많아서 일을 못하면 기초수급자로 행정적인 일을 다 처리하고 일은 할 수 있는데 직업이 없는 사람들은 이제 일자리를 만들어서 시키고 그렇게 해서 4개월 동안 여기서 이제 트레이닝을 해서 내보냅니다.
This is Chang Hae-dok. He was homeless in the Philippines before receiving help from Il-kyoung and being able to return to Korea.
제가 2015년도에 5월 1일 날 필리핀을 갔는데 친구가 도움을 청했어요. 그래서 갔는데 조금 도와주다 보니까 많은 돈이 들어갔어요. 그리고 그 친구는 그러다가 지방으로 가버리고 저 혼자 필리핀에서 얻어가지 못하는 그런 신세가 된 상황이었어요. 그때 당시. 그러다가 몇 년 지나니까 불법 체류자의 신세로 일도 할 수 없는 상황이고 견디다가 한인구조단 박이경 장로님께서 연락이 닿아서 한국에 들어오게 됐습니다. 거기 있는 사람들이 대개가 한국을 가도 할 게 없고 두려워서 그래서 못 들어온 걸로 알고 있습니다. 그리고 또 어디로 가야 될지도 모르고 그런데 이제 여기는 트레이닝 할 3몇 개월이라도 적응할 수 있는 기간, 몸도 만들 수 있는 그걸 모를 겁니다. 대개 사람들이 알면은 도전을 할 텐데 저도 여기서 3개월 동안 있으면서 두려웠어요. 뭘 할 수 있을까? 근데 목표가 있고 믿음이 있으면은 가능하더라고요. 그리고 저는 강화 트레이닝 센터가 쉼터도 아니고 교회도 아니고 저는 항상 집이라 그래요.
This is why whenever Il-kyoung comes to Korea, he makes sure to visit the center. He meets with the people he has helped, catches up with others at the center, and even goes to the supermarket to buy ingredients, cook, and share meals together. Park Il-kyoung, who moved to the Philippines over 40 years ago and successfully built his business, is now taking the lead in caring for fellow migrants as a Korean expat in the Philippines. Despite his many achievements, he has one hope that he wishes to see fulfilled.
베트남에 30만 명이 있습니다. 한국 교민이. 그리고 라오스, 캄보디아, 태국 이 교민들이 많은데 제가 알기로 거기에 지금 한인 노숙자들이 엄청 많습니다. 그런데 필리핀하고 똑같이 동포사랑 쉼터가 좀 만들어졌으면 좋겠는데 아직까지 아무 데도 된 데가 없습니다. 그래서 한 달에 드는 비용이 그렇게 엄청난 돈은 아니에요. 그분들 베트남에 있는 한인 노숙자들 그냥 길거리에서 죽어요. 그런 분들이 지금 뉴스에는 안 나지만 굉장히 많기 때문에 동포사랑 쉼터가 좀 자생적으로 발생이 돼서 좀 거기에 있는 한국 동포들을 좀 살려줬으면 좋겠어요.
Now we will meet another contributor of Dayo Stories of Migration. We flew from Seoul to Jeju Island to meet this person. Let me introduce you to the second guest of today's episode.
네, 안녕하세요.
오혜진님 맞으시죠?
네, 저 오혜진입니다. I'm 오혜진 in Korean name, and I'm Marisa Conde in the Philippines. I came here in Korea last 2008, and I'm already here for about 18 years already.
The reason she moved to Korea was
Because I married the man, a Korean man.
for marriage. She met her husband in the Philippines in 2008 and moved to Korea to start a family. We decided to also speak briefly with Haejin's husband.
처음에 만났을 때는 좀 편안한 인상을 받았거든요. 얼굴도 뭐 제가 볼 때는 예쁘다고 생각 들고 굉장히 편안한 감정을 느껴가지고 이제 결혼해도 괜찮을 것 같다. 그런 게 느꼈죠.
The number of people who decided to migrate to Korea for marriage in 2024 was 180,000. And this number has been increasing every year. And the number of Filipinos migrating to Korea for marriage is also continuously increasing.
혜진님이랑 결혼한다고 하셨을 때 가족분들의 반응은 어땠어요?
다 좋아했죠. 뭐 특별히 반대하는 분은 없었어요. 외국인에 대한 거부감이나 이런 건 없었거든요.
예전에만 해도 사실 그런 거부감이 사실 있었잖아요, 한국에. 한국 사회에.
많았죠.
많았잖아요.
근데 지금은 시골이 오히려 그런 감정이 더 없더라고요. 그러니까 주변에 다문화 가정이 많고 하니까 오히려 나이 드신 분들이 더 이해를 많이 해줘요. 지금은 오히려 반대로 그렇더라고요.
While Haejin's Korean skills have greatly improved, she struggled a lot with the language when she first arrived in Korea. However, her husband played a significant role in helping her reach this level of proficiency.
그저 뭐 처음 왔을 때는 한국어를 가르쳐 줬어요. 근데 좋은 선생님이라고 할 수는 있어요. 왜냐하면은 뭐 제가 질문하면은 뭐 그거를 화나진 않고 뭐 사전 찾아서 막 알려주기도 했어요. 뭐 그래서 금방 배웠던 것 같아요.
근데 막상 가르쳐 주다 보니까 모르는 게 많더라고요. 이걸 설명을 해야 되는데 이게 왜 이렇게 쓰는지 저도 많이 배웠거든요. 그때. 그리고 또 친밀감도 더 생기고.
Thanks to her husband's continued support, Haejin has been able to do much more outside the home, beyond her roles as wife and mother. With a social worker certification, she works as a counselor at the Jeju Counseling Center for Women Migrants, supporting marriage migrants who have suffered from violence. Whenever she meets victims of domestic violence, she realizes just how crucial proper interpretation is.
무엇을 도와드릴까요? 지원을 하면서 느낀 것은 그러니까 대부분 언어적으로 많이 힘들어서 뭐 언어적으로 안 될까봐 해서 좀 이 도움을 요청하는 것이 좀 두려워하는 분들이 많기 때문에 통번역사들이나 뭐 번역 같은 걸 좀 확대되면 좋겠다는 그런 생각이 드네요. 필리핀 말고 이제 다른 나라를 생각하면은 통번역 활동하는 분들이 좀 많지는 않기 때문에.
The doorbell rings at Haejin's house. It seems someone has come to visit. It's her Filipino friends. They are also the organizers of the Filipino community in Jeju, We Are One. We Are One is a Filipino community in Jeju that was established last year. Currently, it has around 150 members. Haejin also played a key role in founding this community. The reason they've gathered here today is to cook and enjoy Filipino food together. Although the timing for migrating to Korea and the work they do are different, they say that they find great support in each other when they miss their homeland. And this is one of the reasons that they decided to create a community called We Are One.
필리핀 사람들이 되게 어려운 점이 되게 다양하고 되게 많아요. 그러니까 이것저것, 그러니까 이런저런 얘기를 많이 들으면서 이제 혜진 언니랑 같이 처음에 지작년인가? 저희 그 사회복지사 공부했을 때 그 혜진 언니한테 언니 한번 우리 공동체 한번 만들자 이제 제안을 먼저 했어요. 제가 배워서 이분들한테 해줄 수 있는 거를 그냥 항상 머릿속에서 그냥 그렇게 뭐라 해야 되나 좀 몇 년 동안 이제 살아왔어요. 왜냐면 저도 그 어려움을 이제 좀 경험했기 때문에 그 어려움을 그 분들한테 후배들한테 뭐라 해야 되나 좀 조금이라도 좀 해소가 될 수 있는 그런 기회가 좀 되고 싶은 그런 마음이 있고.
And sometimes they gather like this, cook Filipino food, and spend time together, becoming a reliable support system for one another.
Kinda missing home since I am living alone. So it feels like you're with your family having a dinner together. They help me on how to live here easily, and they call it like know-how in Korea.
You might say that the We Are One members have become a kind of family they have found in Korea.
I actually told them, Ate Marisa and Ate Janet, that like they're two of the most people that I look up to here in Jeju Island, in all of South Korea, because not just because they speak Korean fluently, but the way they establish themselves here, coming from the Philippines, and most probably if you come here like a spouse, a marriage migrant, then you have to like start from the ground up. So it's really hard. So for them, for me to see them doing that here and making a big change, especially for the foreign community. So it really inspires me not just to like want to learn the language, but to be in the same path, like making a big change for a lot of foreigners here.
Through various activities like these, Haejin has become a source of inspiration for other Filipinos living in Korea. She says there's a message she truly wants to share with fellow migrants in Korea.
I want to give message to marriage immigrants who are like me, that being here in Korea as an immigrant, embrace it, learn the language, because Korea is already your home country, your second home country. Living in Korea as a woman immigrant actually filled with both challenges and opportunities. But I am more on that Korea is a land of opportunity.
It's time to meet another contributor of Dayo, Stories of Migration. Here is a Korean who has built a reputation in the Philippine entertainment industry as an event host and broadcaster.
Hi, my name is Sam Oh. I am a Korean events and radio host living in the Philippines.
Fluent in Korean, English, and Tagalog, she's also recently been active at K-pop concerts held in the Philippines.
I love how Mara is surprised every single time.
It's not easy to migrate to another country and find success in its entertainment industry.
We made it. We made it, people. 621. Hey, Kay.
Maybe that's why the story of Sam Oh caught our attention.
His worldwide special on Netflix, like that premieres today.
I first came to the Philippines when I was 6 years old. So that was let's not do the math or anything, but it was a while back. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 45 now, so I've been here for close to 40 years. And I came here because, my family was relocating. And so I got to tag along as a kid. I think it was around high school. That was when MTV was super popular and there were all these VJs introducing music videos, and I would watch this on TV. And I was like, you know what? That seems like a really fun job. I think I might be able to do something like this. And so that is how I took an interest in doing something in the entertainment industry.
Sam has been living in the Philippines for over 40 years. While her family returned to Korea, she chose to stay.
The Philippines that I have experienced is a country that is full of people that are really warm and friendly, just innately very joyful people. At this point, they are so in love with Korean culture. And I'm really happy to be able to witness, this kind of time in this country, because it wasn't always like that. And I was here for that too.
She says that compared to when she was growing up, interest in Korean culture in the Philippines has quite literally exploded in recent years.
Oh my gosh, like 0 to 100. Now, you cannot go anywhere without seeing a Korean restaurant or a Korean grocery store or bumping into an actual Korean. It's really been something remarkable.
Sam, who has lived in the Philippines for nearly 40 years. What challenges might have she faced living in the Philippines as someone originally from Korea?
Mostly it was during my younger years because, again, that was a time when Korean culture was not as popular as it is now. So it was very easy to feel like the odd one out. I guess there was also a bit of confusion when it came to my identity. I felt like I was foreign outside of the home, obviously. But even inside the home, I didn't feel like I was 100% Korean. So I think there was that kind of struggle growing up. And I used to be asked, so which one do you identify with more? Are you more Korean or are you Filipino? And I felt like I had to choose between the two. But I think now it's more like, I can be both. And I think it's actually a really wonderful thing that you get to immerse yourself so fully in two cultures and experience everything that comes with that, like food and music and art and language. And I actually find it to be a wonderful thing now.
What she just said could be inspiring to all migrants living in other countries.
And I think my parents had a pretty big role in that because they had rules for us. I have a brother. And so the rule was that in the house, you can't speak English. They also sent us to Korean school every weekend on top of our regular, Monday to Friday local school. And the objective being, they did not want us to forget about our roots. I mean, obviously, living in a foreign country, you were going to merge the two cultures together. But I think they did everything in their power to kind of preserve our roots. And, it was okay to take on the culture of the country that I was living in. But I think having that really strong foundation helped a lot.
Finally, we asked her what message she wanted to convey to the world through her contribution to Dayo, Stories of Migration.
I think I really just wanted to share, for anyone who might be maybe looking into it, hesitating, maybe thinking that the negatives might outweigh the positives. In my experience, it's been the opposite. I have found it to be enriching. It's not without its challenges, obviously, but in my experience, I would highly, highly encourage, anyone looking into it. Of course, after doing your research and things like that. Of course, my experience is not everyone's experience, but I wanted it to be on the table to be considered, especially in a country like the Philippines that has been so good to me. I wanted to kind of put that on there for people to consider as well.
Let me introduce the fourth guest of today's episode.
Hi, my name is Christian Nagahit. People call me Chris. I'm from the Philippines and I've been here in Korea for 6 to 7 years. Here in Korea, I am a teacher. I'm also an actor and a community leader for some Filipino communities here.
You might recognize the face of our fourth guest. As he just mentioned, he is actively working as an actor. Chris has appeared in many Korean films and dramas, and one of his most recent works is the globally popular Squid Game.
Back in 2016, I have no friends in Korea because I was a newbie here. So what I did was I started adding friends on Facebook, like random people. And one time I was able to get in touch with this Filipino who was already doing background acting here. And because I was new in Korea, he asked me like, hey, Chris, do you want to roam around the country? Do you want to go here? And do you want to see some Korean actors? As a huge fan of Korean dramas and K-pop, obviously my answer was, yes, I want to go. I want to see those Korean actors I'm dying to see. So what happened was, upon arriving at the set, I ended up as, the bagger boy or someone, we call it bagger boy or someone who's like looking for their things. So I was left outside with their things with me. And here comes this lady with some sort of costume. And the lady started like calling my attention. He was like, come. And then I just followed her. I followed her and I was surprised to see the set. And I saw the other Filipino actors waving at me, and I was like, what am I doing here? Why am I inside? And then they asked me to change. So fast forward, I ended up being part of that drama as a background actor. And then after that shoot, there's this Korean lady who approached me and asked me, like, do you want to be an actor?
Although he hadn't been in Korea for long at the time, Chris's proactive attitude of wanting to learn about Korea and meet new people, combined with a bit of luck, led him to debut as an actor.
Memorable moments, there's a lot, especially, meeting and having dialogues with your co-actors. I mean, the first one was with Hyunbin. Everything stopped when I saw Hyunbin. It was weird because this was in 2007. As a big Hyunbin fan, obviously I don't know when I'm gonna meet him or not. And then to my surprise, while I was doing my dialogues, the door slightly opened and I saw Hyunbin's face. And instead of me delivering my lines, I ended up like this. And the director approached me and said, Chris, what's going on? What's happening? I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm bothered by his presence. I mean, it's like you were surprised seeing your idol just a few steps away from you. So yeah, those kind of moments were definitely memorable with me.
Chris has acted in many Korean productions, but the one that made him most widely known was none other than Squid Game.
I didn't expect much, but I was more of like waiting for my scenes. And then after a couple of days, people started like following me on my socials. My TikTok following started to grow up and I was like, what's wrong? And that's when I realized that, Squid Game is actually making noise, not just like in Korea, but around the world. And I was getting a lot of like notification coming from the Philippines, and they were like appreciating that, hey, we realized that you're a Filipino because of this, because of that. And I was like, well, thank you. So yeah, I mean, I'm just so lucky that I was actually part of that big hit and phenomenal series.
Chris is currently working hard in Korea, both as an English teacher and an actor. But there's another area he's very actively involved in: the community for Filipinos living in Korea.
BFC or Bupyong Filipino community is a Filipino community which was established back in 2017. So at this point, we are a community composed of more than 100. Most of them, or 90% I would say, are Filipinos married to Korean men. The goal was basically just to have a network, a strong and supportive network, where they can share their being Filipina. Because when you move to a different country, it's always going to be hard. It's always to be hard. And sometimes you would actually lose your sense of your cultural identity. So we made sure that every now and then that they're having some difficulty, that they're facing some challenges, they have a group which they can lean on.
Filipinos living in this area support and rely on each other through the Bupyong Filipino community. They also communicate with their Korean friends and passionately promote Filipino culture to them. Chris is contributing to introducing the Philippines to Korea through his many activities here. However, he was surprised when he was asked to write for Dayo stories of migration.
I was like, why me? I mean, there's a lot of Filipinos, obviously, in Korea. There's a lot of more tenured Filipinos here. There's a lot of more veterans Filipinos here who speak Korean better than me. But I was like, why me? I started to question, why me? Not because I was not interested when they proposed to me the idea of Dayo, but I was like, are you sure? But when there was one person who made me realize that, hey, your stories are actually worth sharing. There's a lot of Filipino who looks up to you. And that's when I realized that, oh yeah, if there's one person, as long as there's one person who believes in me and there's one person who appreciates me, then yeah, why not? So I was like, what is the best thing about my story that I can share to the Filipinos around the world, or even to Koreans who's going to read that book? And I think it's more about migrating to a different country. We all know for a fact that migrating to any part of the world, to a different country, is always going to be a hard thing. It's always going to be challenging. But for me, as long as you are open to all possibilities and you put your best foot forward, you can end up with a lot of opportunity which will lead you to success.
The hidden stories between Korea and the Philippines are about Filipinos and Koreans who ended up settling in each other's countries, in search of new opportunities, or in pursuit of their dreams, or simply by chance.
We wanted to focus on the people-to-people relations between the Philippines and Korea because these are the lasting impressions that have a great impact on ordinary Filipinos, ordinary Koreans, when they interact with each other. These are the things which will remain in their memory. We feel that this is a very important bond between our two countries, and we wanted to celebrate that, and we wanted to share these unique stories of resilience, of hope, of commitment, and also a shared passion to build better lives for themselves and to contribute to their communities and to their countries also.
Through hidden stories between Korea and the Philippines, we hope that the relationship between the two countries grows stronger and that richer, more meaningful exchanges between people from both nations will continue to thrive.